Hi, this is Joe at the Pocono Mountain Public Library. Today we'll be discussing Heart-Shaped Box. Not the Nirvana song, but the novel by Joe Hill. I've been wanting to read Heart-Shaped Box for a while. It's a good book, and if you like ghost stories, I highly recommend it. It's basically a story about a guy named Judas Coyne. Judas Coyne is an aging rock star. He's kind of like, I picture Sammy Hagar or Ozzy Osbourne type character, or maybe even Alice Cooper. And he collects things from the occult. So when his assistant slash manager discovers that there's a ghost on auction on the internet, he bids $1,000 on the ghost and he wins the auction. Obviously, it turns out to be a bad idea. When he buys the ghost, all of a sudden, Jude is haunted. He's going to have this ghost following him for, everywhere he goes. To me, the ghost is the key to the novel. He's the best character, quite frankly. Jude's really not that likable, and you don't really think much of his girlfriend. You like his dogs because his dogs actually saved Jude a number of times in the book. But Craddock McDermott is probably the most interesting character in the book. One reviewer refers to McDermott as the Liam Neeson of ghosts. McDermott actually has a tie to Jude. McDermott believes that Jude is responsible for the suicide of his stepdaughter, Anna. So there's actually some sort of connection between these two, and it was a setup from the beginning. He can hypnotize you. He can make you do things you don't want to do. He's just very, very persuasive, and you can't resist his gaze, I guess. What I like to do sometimes is when I'm reading a book, sometimes try to picture like who would play this guy in a movie. And to me, McDermott would have been played by a guy named William Burroughs. Now, William Burroughs died a number of years ago, but I think he would, if they ever made a movie, if they had made a movie of this when William Burroughs was alive, William Burroughs would have been the perfect casting choice for this role. Because McDermott seems like he's like an old school Southern polite gentleman, and he seems like a completely upstanding and authoritative figure. When he speaks, you trust him because he's just so confident, and he's so everything he says is very calm. He never really raises his voice or anything, but he has a way of speaking that makes people do what he wants them to do. He's very manipulative. He was a hypnotist in life. He learned how to hypnotize people, and that makes him even more dangerous, as a ghost. I'll read a passage of the novel. The big yellow heart-shaped box sat on the floor. Something thumped inside. Then the box moved, as if jolted from beneath. It titched a few inches across the floor and jumped again. The lid was struck within once more, and the corner was knocked up and loose. 4 gaunt fingers slipped out from inside the box. Another thump, and the lid came free and began to rise. Craddock pulled himself up from inside the box, as if it were a heart-shaped hole set in the floor. The lid rode on top of his head, a gay and foolish hat. He removed it, cast it aside, then hitched himself out of the box to the waist in a single, surprisingly athletic move for a man who was not only elderly but dead. He got a knee on the floor, climbed the rest of the way out, and stood up. The creases in the legs of the black trousers were perfect. In the pen outside, the pigs began to shriek. Craddock reached a long arm back into the bottomless box, felt around, found his fedora, and set it on his head. The scribbles danced before his eyes. Craddock turned and smiled. "What kept you?" Jude asked. Another thing I like about Heart-Shaped Box is that Joe Hill does a good job of pacing the story and making the narrative move along. And as the story progresses, you learn more and more about the characters, and you learn more about the villain himself, McDermott, and it turns into a pretty fascinating story. I had a hard time putting this novel down. I read it very quickly, and I will probably read it again sometime in the near future. I liked it that much. Well, that's my review of Heart Shaped Box by Joe Hill. I hope you were entertained somewhat by that. I hope you read the book if you hadn't read it already. We have it in the collection. You could also access it on our ebook database, Hoopla Digital. It's available as an audiobook. And if you need any help, give us a call at 570-894-8860, extension 3. We can help you access the digital ebook, or we could put the book on hold for you and get it ready for you to pick up. So until next time, this is Joe at Pocono Mountain Public Library signing off. Bye-bye.